So, you installed Google Analytics 4, implemented e-commerce tracking, but your reports still show no revenue. Nothing. Zeros. There are many possible reasons, and I will explain them in this video. So the first reason might be that maybe you're not sending value, currency, or transaction ID with your purchase event. And I'm talking about these parameters on the transaction level. For example, if you have implemented purchase tracking with GTag, which is a native Google Analytics tracking code, then make sure that your developer has included transaction ID, value, and currency here. Because if, for example, currency is set only on the items level, or you don't have value here, but you have values right here, then it will not work. The same applies to the Google Tag Manager implementation, where you might have purchase data in the data layer. Here, your e-commerce object must also include transaction ID, value, and currency, because these parameters affect the purchase revenue metric. Then if you're looking at the item revenue metric and you see zeros, then it might be because maybe your products don't include price, quantity, and ID. For example, here in the items array, each product should definitely contain item ID, price, and quantity. Actually, I would also highly recommend including the item name as well. All other parameters are optional, but definitely send item ID, item name, price, and quantity. Then it's possible that you are sending correct data, but the parameter names are incorrect. For example, here with the purchase, we are sending order ID and order total, but that is not correct because the parameter names that Google Analytics recognizes are transaction ID and value. So if you send some custom parameter names in this context, they will not work. Then you should also check if the format of your data is following the requirements of the Google Analytics documentation. For example, here we are sending value and this format is correct. But if you're sending this with comma, then it will not work. So don't improvise or don't let your developers improvise and send data that is close enough. You should always strictly follow the documentation and requirements of Google Analytics. Then it's possible that you are sending currency parameter, but its value is incorrect. For example, here, I've seen a situation like this where the currency is set as just the $sign. But instead of this, you should be sending currency code consisting of 3 letters, like USD or other supported values. You can check the documentation of Google Analytics, just enter in Google search supported currencies in GA4, and you will see a list of all supported currency codes, like for example, US dollar. Then it's possible that you're not seeing revenue metrics because your account is restricted to see that. In Google Analytics admin, administrators can manage access on the account level or on the property level. So if a particular user cannot see revenue metrics, it's worth checking the permissions of that user. You can click on property access management, for example, then click on the user and check if this checkbox is not selected. Because if it is, then you will not see revenue metrics in Google Analytics 4 reports. Then another possible reason is delay. Google Analytics 4 requires more time to process the data, and that usually takes between 24 and 48 hours. So if you sent some test purchases, let's say 12 hours ago, it's very likely that you will not see it in the reports yet. So you should wait for at least 24 hours, and if that doesn't help, 48 hours might be needed. But of course, in the end, it might occur that maybe there is some other reason why you are not seeing purchase data. That's why it would be a good practice to still troubleshoot your setup if you are seeing purchase events coming in Google Analytics 4 at all. The troubleshooting process depends on how you have installed Google Analytics, whether it's with GTag or Google Tag Manager. But let me show you one example with Google Tag Manager. Here I am on a demo website. I have enabled Google Tag Manager preview mode. I see that it is connected, and then I will make a purchase. This is the success message. And first of all, I would need to check if the purchase event tag has fired. So that's a good start. Now I can click it, and then I will see that send e-commerce data in my case is selected to true. So it's enabled. It's looking for the data in the data layer. So here I can see if data is structured properly according to the documentation. Then what I could do is that I can go to Google Analytics, admin, and then select debug view. And here I should see the purchase event, so that's a good sign. But even if you see the purchase event right here, it does not mean that the purchase data was sent properly. So you can click on the event. First of all, you should see the items right here, and then check if you see the correct data here. There is one bug in GA4 that shows price with a lot of unnecessary zeros, so ignore that, but everything else should be exactly as it is in the data layer. Then the next reason is that maybe your data is structured incorrectly. For example, here's a correct data layer push containing the e-commerce data. We have value, transaction ID, and all the other stuff. And also we have items. Normally, items must be an array. It still must be defined as an array, and that can be distinguished by these square brackets right here. But if for some reason your developer sends the data like this, where it's just items and then one object, but there are no square brackets, then this is considered as an incorrect data structure. Therefore, your purchase tracking kinda would work. You should still see the transaction ID, the value, but you would not see what products were purchased. Then if you did some test purchases, but you don't see their data in Google Analytics, maybe you are using ad blockers or some other extensions that can block Google Analytics. For example, Ghostery. So in this case, if you are troubleshooting Google Analytics, you should at least temporarily disable extensions that might block Google Analytics. And then the final reason in this video is thresholding. So if you look at the report, for example, traffic acquisition report, and you see that some reports are missing, or maybe some traffic sources are missing, look at the top of the report. If you see this exclamation mark, click it and check if you see the warning saying something about thresholding. If yes, then it means thresholding is applied to your report, and some rows in your report might be hidden because maybe they have very few sessions, even though they might have purchases. There's a workaround for that, and I explained that in a different tutorial. So if you want to learn more about thresholding, check the description below the video. And these were the main reasons why you are missing revenue data in Google Analytics 4. If you found this video useful, hit the thumbs up button below the video. That will help me understand what videos do you like and what should I create in the future. Also, if you want to learn more about Google Tag Manager or GA4, then consider subscribing to this channel. My name is Julius, this is Analytics Mania, and I'll see you in the next video.